All right, so hello guys. It's very nice to be here with you with the Allied Artists of Johnstown. So just starting off first, I would like to know each one of your names and what your role is in the Allied Artists of Johnstown. And we can start with Ken here.
Kenneth Cotlar, and I'm El Presidente.
I'm Janice Sandak. I am a member.
And I'm Duane Webb. I'm Vice President.
All right, so just kind of starting off here with the questions that I have planned out for you guys. This question is for anybody. If you all have an answer to it, please give the answer. Can you explain the Allied Artists of Johnstown to me and for those who may not have heard of the group?
I probably should answer that
Okay.
first. We are almost 100 members strong of artists who comprise of amateurs, we have art teachers, and we also have a handful of professional artists involved. We've been in the Johnstown area for 90 years. I think this is our 90th year in action. And it's a pretty good group. That's it.
All right. Anybody else want to contribute anything?
Since 1932.
1932? All right. So for somebody looking to join the Allied Artists, could you maybe run through the process of how it works and how somebody could join the group? We can start.
When do you want to do it, or should I?
Sure. I
We can start with Dwayne.
Good.
Yep.
The way that a new person would join the group is we have 4 shows a year. Three shows a year. We had to do away with one recently, but on the shows that we have, any outsider, except for the members-only show in the summer, can join by entering pieces of work, up to 3 pieces we normally have at our shows. So if they enter and the juror selects one of their works to be in the show, they are automatically juried in as members.
Okay. All right. So.
And they can find out about the shows on our website,
And your
Allied
website.
Artists of Johnstown.
Allied Artists.
JohnstownArt.com.
JohnstownArt.com or .com. All right. So this is a question for each of you that I will start at the end here with Ken. How long have each of you been a member of the Allied Artists?
Over 2 decades. I think it's around 23, 24 years now.
Janice?
I'm the new person.
The newbie?
Newbie in this group. I joined right when the pandemic came about. I just got in, went through that process that he said, got my visa on the wall, got a phone call and said, hello, we have to close for the pandemic. So it's just been a little over 2 years for me.
Okay.
It's been fun.
All right, and Dwayne?
For me, 1987 is when I got here.
Okay. So it's been a while.
More than I can count.
All right, and just kind of like piggybacking off that question for you, Janice, we had mentioned the kind of juring process before this. What was that feeling going through that process for you? Was it nerve-wracking? Were you excited? Just what kind of was going through your head during that time?
It was a lot.
It was a lot.
A lot of things going through. First I was nervous, then I was excited, then I got scared, and then I thought, what if they reject me? Dwayne, I had taken a class with him, and he kept saying, you should try this, you should try this. And so, without his encouragement, I don't know if I would have tried it. So I took down a piece, and I took down 2. One got rejected, and one got accepted in. So then I got to be a member of the Allied Artists. I was really excited about that.
Wonderful. All right, so this is also a question for Janice, and we will get to you guys. So as a newer member of the Allied Artists, what has your experience been so far? I know you mentioned that it's kind of when the pandemic hit, that's when you entered, so maybe you didn't have as much time with them, maybe with meetings or things like that. But so far, what could you tell us about your experience?
Yeah, with the pandemic, it was no person-to-person contact, so that was different. I learned how to stay in touch through the a webpage and checked, kept checking their newsletters, see what's going on. I forgot what else you asked me.
Oh, no, it was really just what your experience has been so far, yeah.
It's been great. It's been, I love coming to a show, meeting the other artists, and then stand in front of their work and they tell you what they go through, share their process. It's been really nice, and it's been, for me, it just has, it's challenged me to do better. It's because if I want my piece in, it has to be good.
Definitely. All right, and for, Duane and Ken, we'll start here with Duane. Just being a longtime member of the Allied Artists, what has your experience been like?
Just like the friendships you develop, like, with the ones, like several of them that have passed already. I remember like Mary Burkhart was our oldest member, 105 years old, and she sat right about where Ken is. We had a party for her.
Oh, that's sweet.
And she was still painting at 105 years old. Like I say, just some of the stuff like that. Other members too, like Dan Helsel is a great friend of mine. I met him through Allied Artists. Mary Ann Krisner, another great friend of ours. You just build these relationships because you share the same, interests and goals.
All right, and for you, Ken, what has your experience been like so far?
It's been terrific, I'd have to say. There's a real sense of community and shared experience and common interests, of course. But as an artist, you look for opportunities to show your work. You don't want to work in a vacuum, obviously. And it gives artists in the region an opportunity to show. And this was how I got involved. And then you realize you have to give back. You have to do a little work occasionally too, and pay your dues, so to speak, more than just pay your dues. So involvement with artists who have a common interest and have common goals is what makes it really special.
All right, and so kind of being in the Allied Artist community, what is that like? Kind of maybe explain a meeting. Do you get together and critique each other's art? Do you help each other through creative ruts ever? Is there a lot of talk between all of you on your art, and is there a lot of help, maybe with, like I said, if you're in a rut with something, if you're not exactly sure where a painting's going, do you all kind of help each other with that process? And we can start with Janice on this question.
For me, I've made contacts with different people, started new friendships. Everyone's very encouraging, and everybody shares what they, I found this is a good place to do this. The one meeting, Ken had told us how to mount our pictures and get the right kind of wire, and that was very informative and helpful. I find it's like a really nice community.
Yeah.
You do make friendships. And, there's a couple people now I can call. Hey, I'm looking for this. Do you know where I can get this product or
So
something?
even for materials,
Yeah.
you guys kind of talk amongst yourselves, like,
It's a good place
here's
to get
this.
this.
Okay, and then
If you mind.
Dwayne, go ahead.
Like, one of the things that stand out to me, like learning different things, like she was saying, Ken taught framing at one of the meetings, but we do a lot outside meetings too. Like I said, I've developed a really great friendship with, oh my gosh.
Somebody else.
Dan Helsel. I'm sorry. But from him, I learned, like, out at his place, he taught me how to do the animal skin sizing on canvas from scratch and cooking it down.
Oh
And
my goodness.
I mean, it's an involved process. It takes
It sounds
weeks
like
to
it.
do.
Yes.
And like say things like that I've learned from other artists, that I would never done. Years ago, Ralph Clemenson used to be an artist with us in the Allied Artists, and he passed away years ago. But he's the one that showed me how to stretch canvas.
Oh, wow. So,
So different things like that.
lots of different learning techniques and things like that.
Yeah.
And then Ken, yes.
Well, you mentioned crits, and I want to say that we don't do crits.
Oh.
We don't have that type of relationship. Crits are from art school. And for anybody who has been to art school, you know that they are meant to break down the students' preconceptions and make them open to new perspectives, but it can be emotionally devastating. And of course, I never believed that your fellow artists were really qualified to criticize your work. Only people who are professionals are. Our purpose as an organization is really to support and encourage the artistic endeavor and to further to help each other on that way. We don't have, especially with the pandemic, we haven't had too many organized open meetings. We do occasionally have presentations or things like that, but mostly our get-togethers are social at the receptions for our shows,
Okay.
and that's where we have the most interaction.
Okay. All right. So, kind of moving into maybe the more heavy questions. So being in a group full of talented artists, does it ever make you, and that's, your work is all amazing, you know, being in the exhibit, seeing it, it's beautiful work. But does it ever make you question your own work or make you feel like you have to, I guess, critique yourself more than usual? And if so, how do you deal with that? And then we can start with Ken on this question.
The answer is no.
Okay, just no?
No.
All right. And Janice?
It kind of opened up my mind to the whole art, not to be so much in a box and see what other people are doing, and it makes me want to do more and push my limit, get out of my comfort zone.
Motivates you, yeah.
Get out of my comfort zone. Let's try this. Let's do
Nice,
that.
that's
So-
nice. All right, and Duane?
It used to when I first started, but once I got involved, like in helping chair shows and stuff, it opened my eyes. Shirley Gaynor was a wonderful artist. She was amazing with the stuff she used to do. And the first show I jurred, or not jurred, but chaired, she got jurred out of the show. And I had to call her and tell her, and she was like, I thought she was the epitome of art,
Yes.
you know, here in Johnstown. And I had to call her and tell her she got rejected. And she laughed and she said, don't worry about it, everybody gets rejected. And ever since then, you know, I feel a lot better about my own work, you know.
Yeah.
That's something Kathy Burke and I used to, she was the former president, she's just passed away 8 years ago. We used to joke about it all the time because we would both have pieces rejected from one show, and then we would enter them in another show, and they'd win
win
a
a
prize. And it happened
So
to
you
her
just
multiple
never
times,
know,
it happened to me multiple
Depends on
times.
the
So
jury.
our advice to newbies coming in was that you don't take the judgment of being rejected, having a piece rejected personally. It's one person's opinion, and it's not personal.
So you would say there's an understanding kind of in the Allied Artists of it's just how it goes,
That's
you know,
how it is.
you just
Yeah.
got to deal with it.
part of the
Yeah,
game.
got you. All right, so this is also kind of, it's around the same kind of area of question, but does it ever feel like you're not your own artist being in a group full of them? Do you ever feel like your individuality is stifled? Or do you feel more connected to art, being around so many people who appreciate it and love it as much as you do? And would we want to start with Duane?
I think you're drawn to other artists, you know, just birds of a feather flock together. And even inside, like the organization, other artists that have more your style, you know, like Ken does more abstract, I do more realistic. I think I'm drawn hanging out with the ones that do more realistic, you know.
All right,
Is
yeah.
kind of the way it works.
Yeah.
Although I can't say that. Chris Tower does abstract, and him and I are, you know, always conniving on stuff. So.
Yeah, I got you. No, that makes a lot of sense. And then Janice.
I think it makes me feel more connected with everyone, because we all have the love, the creativity, and the love for art. So
Absolutely.
it's like that's our common ground.
And Ken?
Yeah, I'm just totally open to all the different forms and all the different expressions of art that people have. It doesn't matter, realistic or photographs or abstract, it's all good, as long as it's quality and has craftsmanship and is showing a free expression and is honest. It's all good. So no, I'm not intimidated by any of it. Influenced, I just appreciate it all.
Yes,
I
all
take it
right.
and appreciate it. Yeah.
All right, so this question is actually for Duane. Has being the president of the Allied Artists shaped you as an artist? And has it changed, oh, I'm so sorry, Ken, that is my bad, I'm so sorry. But has it changed the way you view art or the way you create?
No.
No.
No,
Okay.
no. What I would say is that if your creative process has nothing to do with the administration of an organization, the two are really related.
Okay, and Janice, this question, being a new member of the Allied Artists, would you say that it has shaped you as an artist? Kind of just going down the line here with the same question. Has it changed any way you view your art, any way you create?
It has encouraged me to create more, I think it's been positive. I just want to do better than I've been doing.
Just about kind of growth and
Growth,
growing as
right.
an artist.
Yes, I would say it's been very good, very good.
And then Duane, kind of same question, being vice president, any changes in the way you view art or the way you create? Has it shaped you differently moving forward, or?
No, like Ken said, the administrative part of things,
Just,
is more that, administrative.
Administration
not
rather
really-
than,
Yeah.
got you. All right. So this is kind of like the final question pertaining to the Allied Artists of Johnstown. But just going down the line here, we can start with Duane. What are your favorite things about being part of the Allied Artists?
Well, definitely the social events at the shows, is probably the biggest thing. Seeing what other people have put together and developed and they're showing
All right.
and feeling part of the organization.
And Janice, same question for you.
I love the reception.
Yeah.
I love interacting with the different artists. The show we had here, the girl that did the digital, she says, everybody wants to know how to do this, see me. So
Patrice.
Patrice, is that her name? And
Patrice
she
Sandak.
sat down and took me through all the steps of that, and, connecting with different people. Like now take portrait classes with Diana Williams, and I'm enjoying that. And there's a couple other people go to her classes that are members of Allied Artists. So it's this really nice time to get together with them. And that wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for a show and just bumping into her and start talking. So.
All right, and for Ken, same for you. What are your favorite things about being part of the Allied Artists?
Well, the relationships with the people is number one. Number two is having my eyes opened to the diversity of artistic expression that comes out of this region. I never imagined that there was so much, so many varied forms of expression. There's so many really extremely talented people in this region. We're quite lucky.
And actually, is the Allied Artists of Johnstown, is that Cambria County, just Cambria County, surrounding areas?
We have members from 3 or 4 counties around, I would say.
Okay.
We have members from Indiana, Westmoreland, Somerset. I don't think we have anybody from Blair, do we? No, Cambria. So, yeah, it's at least 3 or 4 counties around. The of Johnstown was a technicality. There's an Allied Artists National that we didn't want to belong to.
Oh,
So
okay.
to separate us from that, they put in the words of Johnstown
Okay.
100 years ago.
All right, well, if that, do any of you have anything else to say about being part of the Allied Artists, just your time there? If not, we can move on.
Well, I would just say also, to further, that Allied Artists of Johnstown is kind of unique among the many groups in the region. I belong to Art in Common, which is out of Blair, the Belfont Center County Art Museum Artist Cooperative, I belong to the Pittsburgh Society of Artists, and all of the others are rather insular. But I find that this group is very inclusive, very open, and not cliquish at all.
Okay. All right, so the next questions I have for you are just kind of pertaining to yourself as artists. We're kind of moving away from being part of the Allied Artists of Johnstown and more focusing on you guys. So we'll start here with Duane. What got you into art or creating in the first place?
I've been interested in it since I was little. My father used to sit around and sketch dyed wooden blondie of all things, you know, the old cartoon.
Okay,
on,
yes.
you know, just pieces of envelopes or whatever he had laying around.
Nice. So
And
does that run in your family then? Are you
There's-
all a group of artists?
Well, there's 8 of us, 8
Oh, wow.
kids. Yeah, there's several of us that are involved in not just like the visual arts, but also the
Creativity
Yeah,
and
music.
all around. Nice. All right, and Janice, what got you into art?
Like Duane, from when I was really little, that's all I wanted to do was draw. I used to get those golden books, and I would draw all the characters, Cinderella, Snow White. And then when I got to school, the teachers got me doing the bulletin boards. And then by the time I was in high school, I was doing the decoration for the dances and stuff. And my high school teacher said, Jan, you should take art. I couldn't go away to school, but I got to stay. I went to VOTech. It was VOTech at that time, and took a 2-year course of commercial art.
Okay.
And I got my training there, and then I got married, and my art, about the first year I worked at Cotlar Engraving in the layout and design department, and then I raised my family, but I stayed active for myself, and then whatever church, when I went to two different churches, I would do a lot of their artwork and bulletins for them. But when I retired, I got my art supplies out of the attic and set up an art room, and that was in 2016. And I have been drawing and painting almost every day.
Wonderful. I love that. And same for you, Ken. What got you into art and creating?
I was an artist from the time I was born. My mother was an artist, and so we always had paintings on the walls. I mean, there were always art books around. And I grew up in Bucks County, which is north of Philadelphia, and I was rather feral as a child. So I was pretty much on my own. My mother would give me cereal for breakfast and kick me out of the house. And it was not unusual for me to get on the train and go to Philadelphia Art Museum for the day. And I grew up in the Art Museum. And then as I got older, in my youth, I went to New York a lot. Went to all the art museums there, so I was pretty well versed on the art history. So I was ready when I got to school to major in art.
Okay,
point,
yes,
yeah.
definitely.
Yeah.
All right, so we can start back over here with Duane for this. Did you go to school for art or any art-related subjects?
Yes, but I didn't go until later in life after I put my own kids through college. I was 43 when I went back to college and got a degree in computer animation. While I was going to art school, I would work on the Gateway Clipper and different events doing caricatures.
Oh,
So-
wow, okay. That's nice. All right, so same for you, Janice. I think we just kind of covered that in the last question, but yeah, was there anything like, you know, even in high school, like you took art classes there and I kind of see a pattern in a lot of artists being that, you know, their teacher will see something in them and be like, hey, you should pursue art. Did it ever cross your mind to go to school for art? Like anything?
That was just like a dream,
Yeah.
pipe dream I had. But like when I was in high school, you know, kids would skip class. I'd skip class and go to the art room. They always knew where to find me.
Yeah.
Finally, they changed my schedule
Oh.
to give me more art.
Oh, okay, so
And-
they worked around
And
it.
he said you could go,
Mhm.
you should do something with that. And, I had someone help me make that possible. And so commercial art is my background.
Okay, and for Ken, same question.
Yes. Let's see, majored in art in high school, but then I was accepted into the Philadelphia Museum School of Art but couldn't afford it. So I went to Penn State and majored in fine art. I got the first BFA they ever conferred in the program.
Oh, wow.
Majored in painting, art history, graphic design, and photography. And then I also did graduate work at IUP.
Okay. All right. So, next question. Starting with Duane, I think we're just going to start from down here. Do you have your own personal art style? And if so, could you please explain it and how it came to be?
Well, I mainly paint more on the realistic side. Sometimes I throw in a little bit of like off the wall
Mm-hmm.
type things in my paintings, but haven't that often, recently.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Okay. And then Janice, do you have a personal art style? And if so, is there a story behind it?
I tend to be more realistic, but I can't decide which is my favorite medium to teach.
Yeah, I know you have a love for like a whole bunch of mixed media,
Yeah,
so yes, definitely.
I just like it all.
Okay. All right. And Ken, same question for you.
Well, personal style is what any artist strives for.
Mm-hmm.
And that's an ultimate goal. And I think I've been successful in that. I think when anybody looks at a painting of mine, they know it's mine
Mm-hmm.
immediately. And you get to that point through a lot of hard work.
So that is something that, doesn't possibly, like maybe often come for artists kind of just starting out. You kind of have to find your way, your voice.
It
And
takes hundreds of paintings, if you're a painter or a sculptor or whatever, hundreds of works of art and a lot of time and a lot of hard work before you get to that point where you know your work, you know what your vision is, and you know what you're trying to convey, and it shows.
All right. And kind of the last question here that I have for you guys, and again, starting with Duane, what would you say to aspiring artists?
Don't be afraid to join or try to join an organization, even if you don't think you have the ability. Most artists that are striving don't think they're good enough to try something. Try to put that behind you and just go ahead and give it your all.
All right, Janice, same question.
I feel like the Nike commercial.
Yeah,
Just do it.
Just do it.
Just do it. Don't hold back.
Yes, definitely. And then Ken, what would you say?
I'm reminded of a story when you asked that question. I was in art school, and the famous Stuart Frost was my professor. He was teaching watercolor at that time, which I absolutely abhorred, and I'm not good at. And he stood behind me at my easel as I'm working for about 15 minutes, watching me, nerve-wracking. And then he leaned over and very quietly whispered in my ear, "Have you thought about pre-med?"
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
Wow.
And I saw him years later and reminded him of that joke. He said, I told that to every aspiring artist there was.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
So yeah, you don't listen to anybody. Just go ahead and do your thing and work hard, and you'll get there.
All right. So I do have a few questions from viewers that sent in message questions. So we can start over here because these are going to go just down the line for all of you. Let's see here. So where do you get your inspiration? And this is from Anke Turco.
Well, my wife would tell you that all artists are kind of goofy, so it's our imaginations
Okay.
that
Yes.
usually make us do it.
Nice. Okay. And then Janice, your inspiration.
Everywhere. It's like, walk outside and, oh, that would make a good picture. I'm watching something on TV and there's someone's close up of a face. I'm going, shadows, lips, eyes, it's just your imagination. Just go with it.
And then Ken.
Yeah, I would examine what inspires you and fall back on that. And the main thing is to sketch and work every day. Art is no different than being an athlete. You have to exercise that muscle. So I would say to any artist, keep a sketchbook, sketch what you see around you, sketch anything that comes across your mind, doodles, it doesn't matter, we just do it every day. And then as you get to the point where maybe you're stumped about an idea or what you want to do, you have something to fall back on. You can go to your morgue, so to speak, and go through your past photographs and drawings and sketches. And remember, you don't have to do something new every time. Monet did his water lilies in that church hundreds of times, over and over again. So each time he did it, it was something different. So don't be afraid to keep on doing something, the same thing over and over, and improve on it each time and make a variation. You'll never get tired that way.
All right, thank you guys for those answers. And we have one more question here from Donnie Davis. And we'll start here with Duane. What is your favorite piece of art, if you have one, that you have created?
Oh, that I've created?
Yes.
I did one for my mother-in-law years ago. She's since passed, but I took all the grandkids' baby pictures, even though they were all different ages, and did them sort of like a Renaissance type painting.
Oh, wow.
And that was probably my favorite one. But could I interject too, though?
Absolutely.
I love, like, when I go into like different businesses and like, for example, Carmen Tire, walk in there and there's a Glenn Brocker, and he's been gone for a long time, and his stuff was amazing. Or Mark Parrish, like when you walk into different businesses and you see, you know, the different paintings
Yeah.
from artists that you know, it's just, it really makes you feel good.
All right, and Janice, same question for you.
I love every one of my pieces of work. I have to be honest about that. It seems like whatever I'm working on is my favorite, right then and there. This is where my passion is right at the moment. But I can't pick one
Okay.
out of them.
That's fine, it's like your babies.
They're
Just
all- yeah, they're all
can't
my
pick a favorite
kids.
child.
No.
And Ken, the same question for you as well.
I can't say I have a favorite. Yeah, and I've heard that analogy before, that your paintings or your artwork are like your children. You develop them, you build them, you create them, and you kind of love them. And periodically, I go through and take old paintings and put them in a dumpster. And so you have to do that. I don't like it. Favorite artist of all time for me, famous piece of all time. If I had to choose one piece that's not my own, would be Guernica by Picasso.
Okay.
But aside from that, I have no favorite piece of my own.
Okay. All right. So, we're gonna, I think, wrap it up here, but I just wanted to kind of open the floor to you guys. If you had anything else you wanted to say, anything else you wanted to add, if you have any events coming up that you wanted to share with the audience. I know that Duane, you have, we do have a workshop coming up for you in September. So I know the audience can definitely take a look at that. So that's going to be September 6th and September 9th. Those days will also be on our Facebook pages, on our social media pages, on our website, and in our newsletter coming out for September. But like I said, the floor is open for anybody. If you want to say any final words to the audience here before we end.
Well, Allied Artists has one more show this season coming up. It's going to be held at Mount Aloysius College in Crescent. The details on it are on our website, and you can still enter up until this Saturday if you're interested in joining that.
All right. Anyone else?
You also have Oktoberfest coming up.
We
I'll be
do. We
doing
have
caricatures at
Oktoberfest.
that event.
Yes, absolutely. I know those were a huge hit last year, so we definitely had to bring you back for that. So yes, Duane will be doing caricatures at Oktoberfest. We're all looking forward to it. But if you guys, yes,
And I just also want to say thank you,
absolutely.
Community Arts Center, for sharing and working with us, and continuing to do our spring show here every year. It's been a wonderful association, and I hope it continues forward. And anybody out there who's interested, I'm doing an art festival at Mount Gretna next month.
All
You can
right.
find that on the web too.
All righty. And I did forget to mention that the Allied Artists of Johnstown Summer Show is going on through August 26th. So anybody who wants to stop on by to see that can. We have programs here. We're open 10 o'clock to 5 o'clock weekdays, 10 o'clock to 2 o'clock on Saturdays, and we're closed on Sundays. So thank you guys so much for being here with me and for giving me your time and for creating these beautiful pieces that we see around here. And yes, I hope you guys, continue to do your art and continue towards the path that you're going on. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.